Thumbs up. Hello. Well, thank you all for waiting patiently, and thank you for joining us for our hand wash cold event with our host, Kareem Day. Super excited to have you all on this platform. My name is Chantel Mack, and I am the Community Relations Manager for the Whitaker Group. And so part of what we do as a company, as an organization, as a team, is we like to connect to our community, whether it's adjacent in the actual communities where our stores are located, or with our consumer base and just people that we know and love that shop with us and rock with us. And so part of our job is to host these digital events. We do them monthly across our different platforms, social status, APB. And so super excited to be doing this with you all. And again, check out our social media handles to see what we have coming up next. Some dope conversations, some great things going on this month and the upcoming months. And so super excited to have you all. I'm going to kick it to my boy Kareem, who is our gracious host. And so thank you again, brother, for allowing this to be a space where you share what you do and what you love and where you share your family. And so I appreciate that. Shout out to Mr. Joseph Day, who has given me permission to call him Pop. Thank you for being here. And Kareem, I'm going to kick it to you, brother.
Awesome. Yeah, Chantel, man, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a million, and I'm very excited for this event. So as you all know, I'm Kareem Day, creator of A Herd of Bison, and I got the opportunity to leverage the platform of our mama year with Chantel. And once she hit me about the opportunity to have an event focused on talks with my pops, I was like very excited. Really because, as you all know, if you've been following the brand, I'm a very family oriented person, and a lot of the events that I have or anything involved with the brand is kind of like uprooted from my family. I mean, whether it's if we have an event, I have my family running it, so I really take a big take into family. I think family is important, but more importantly, I wanted to actually be able to display the camaraderie between my father and I. I think during this time, day and age where we're living in, it's very important to show the camaraderie between different legacies. So my father and I. So to have this opportunity to tap into a few things, unravel a few things in front of you all, it's just a moment for me to just really just be graceful and appreciative too. So my introduction is pretty short. You guys should know I'm Kareem Day, like I said, creator of A Herd of Bison footwear outerwear brand located here in Houston, Texas. Um, we do a lot of statement pieces, footwear, outerwear pieces, really just kind of filling a void in the fashion industry, and also kind of giving you a moment to like reflect on a few things that in an unorthodox way that you probably haven't seen. So um, that's my intro, but I want to hand it over to my pops, uh, Joe Day, and um, and let him do his thing.
Hey, great, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for letting me chime in on this and just give some input on what's been going on with us all. My name is Joe Day. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I've been living here in Houston, Texas now for about a little over 30 years. So I'm a Texan now. Sorry, Eagle fan. Um, yeah, so I've worn a lot of hats over the years. Been involved in comedy, management, boxing, youth programs. Also work in the petrochemical industry. So I'm all over the place. Wear a lot of hats.
Awesome, man. So if anybody ever tapped into me for like in any regard, you'll know that my pops is very influential in my life. So the idea is to give like a perspective from that part of the brand. Like I don't want to sit here and talk about what a herd of bison is, but I always looked at different designers and things like that that I admire, and I always wonder, like, where did they come from? Like, what, like, why are they the way that they are? And sometimes you can't get that from a surface level. You can't get that from them because they're going to give you what they feel like they want to give you. So to have my pops here talking about where he's from, and you all can get an idea of like where I'm from, because I'm actually rooted from him. So it's a different perspective, but it's kind of unique. But at the same time, I want to tap into, a little bit deeper than just me telling you, what I'm about and things like that. I mean, you all have seen the herd of bison around the city and wherever you are, but to get my dad's perspective is something that's very important, because that's actually what makes me, you know, you are where you come from. So we'll, like I said, we'll tap into a few things. My pops is not really, he's not really prepared for some of the questions I'm gonna ask. And it's a moment for us to unravel some things right before your eyes. And like I said, I want to display the camaraderie that we have, and let you all know that, family is important, and it's okay to mix family with business, and that's what I do. So let's start off by just jumping straight to it, Pops. Um, boom, born 1960. You was born during a time where, the civil rights movement was happening. Let's just talk about that, like what that meant to you, and like some of those fine moments that you had coming up in those times.
Yeah, Grant, I was born in a great time, 1960. Kind of things were kind of, the world was kind of going through changes, and I got the opportunity to get a bird's eye view of a lot of things, living up to right now. When I think about it, I think back to when I was in elementary school, and the civil rights and segregation and everything was going on. I remember my teacher taking us over to a wall over at Stokely Elementary School in Philadelphia and showing us where the water were segregated. At that time, they weren't, but they were, and they had just got past that. I remember looking at that, and I was a little confused at the time. But as I grew older and made it through the 60s, I could kind of see what was going on. Another thing I remember is that my parents were very involved in civil rights. My mother was a member of the NAACP, also the Core Coalition, and my father was pretty active with the brothers, including the Panthers. They had their organization going on in Washington, D.C. So I was caught up right in the middle of it. My father and his crew, they were by whatever means necessary, and my mother was more or less like, hey, we can do this in harmony. So that put me right in the middle, right in the middle. If I needed to, we needed to use force, then we were there for it. If we could settle things the way we needed to settle things, that's how it was handled. And as I made it through life, that's the way I handle stuff. Basically, you have to respect me as a black man, and I stand up for myself because I was made like that. I was big like that. It's nothing that I was more or less a follower or anything like that. That's just how we were made from the time we were little kids. I remember when we were kids, my mother would always take us to our grandmother's house, and whenever she would need to go to any of the marches or any of the demonstration that was going on, I remember one particular time I was watching television and this minister was speaking outside. I was concerned with trying to find my mother, so I'm looking in the crowd, and they kept the camera on him, and I'm trying to find my mother, and it was the "I Have a Dream" speech from Dr.
Wow.
Remember that, like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's a pivotal time, like just in Black history, to be alive and be able to witness. I mean, we talked about that like before, but not really in depth. I mean, like, so let me ask you, like I said, and we're unraveling some things right before everyone's eyes, so some things I've never asked you, but I want to ask you, and this is a moment to do it. But I want to make sure that we promote just comfortability with people and speaking to their peoples. It's a lot of wisdom out here. Older folks, sometimes don't get that opportunity to, to shed that light, but this is a moment for it. So I encourage everyone after this to tap into the people that they love and the older folks. But more importantly, just that time. I mean, you were a kid, 1960. I mean, you've seen so many changes. Like, how? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Coming from that moment, you know, you got segregation and things like that, kind of like turning into whatever it is, and then looking at now, like, do you see any changes, like, or is it kind of like more of like oppression just reformed into a different way? You know, what's your thoughts on that? I want to hear that from you, because I never asked you that. You know, what's your thoughts on like where we are now opposed to like where we were in the 60s, 70s, and you know.
Coming up from the time I came up until now, you know, I saw a lot of changes in this world. There was a lot of fight, a lot of changes. We won a lot of battles. We picked our battles well. Um, to see where we are today is sad because we kind of reverted back. We took a big, last 4 years, we went backwards. Um, so that's, you know, you're not really happy to see that. But you look at the younger generation who don't really know their past, and they don't see how far we've come since the 60s and 50s and where we were just, you know, 5, 10 years ago, and how we've taken such a big step backwards. But that's okay because we have the tools to move forward again. And this year has only been a little over a month, and I feel as though we've made a lot of progress already, and we will continue to do that. We have the tools, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, man, just you know, I guess I'm some sort of a historian, you know, so I always look back and reflect on history, and yeah, like my thoughts is pretty much the same along with yours. I mean, we had some strides in the 60s, the civil rights movement and things like that, but I think it kind of just reformed into like a different type of oppression. You know, it may be not as, you know, what it used to be, but like it's other things in place that kind of hold us back. But you know, it's part of just leveling up and kind of understanding where you can take the stride and make a difference. Um, so with that said, I mean, you know, it's not a secret. We had the Philly artists playing before everyone was in the waiting room, Beanie Siegel. So, and as people already know, I'm from Philadelphia, moved here. Um, and you know, Houston is my home. This is what I know. But I mean, you can't never walk away from Philly. You can't be born in Philly and live years there and say that you're not from Philly. Because number one, if you tell somebody that you're not, like that's from Philly, they're probably gonna dive on you. And you know, but it's just in you. It's the way that you walk. So, but you know, what I want to ask you, Pops, is coming from Philly, you know, what is it like? I mean, I think everyone that's probably listening knows that Philly is just the grittiest place you could probably be. We got hoods everywhere, but in the United States or in the world, but Philly is one of the ones that kind of stand out. But what was it like growing up in Philadelphia, you know, for yourself, and, you know, what were some of the, you know, monumental moments, and how did it make you into the person that you are today?
You know, I was pretty fortunate to spend 29 years in Philadelphia, the first 29 years of my life. That prepared me for the world. After surviving in one of the toughest places on this planet, which is North Philadelphia, and I knew I could survive anywhere. So when I made the move here to Texas, I accepted the challenge. It wasn't no sweat because I had survived 29 years. It was more or less of having goals set up. What are my goals? Why am I making these sacrifices? What am I going to do? Let's set your short range goals, and also have our long range goals set up. You know, before I even put my foot down on the ground downtown Houston. Coming up in Philadelphia, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough for everybody. You know, we spent a lot of years. You spent a lot of years in boxing because I spent a lot of years in boxing. But all kids do that in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a fighting city. That's what you do. Some guys prevail, some guys don't. But you go into the gym, you're gonna learn how to fight. Everybody knows how to fight. You go to Philadelphia, a little old lady might beat you up. Okay, she knows. So it's a tough place. I was glad that I was able to go there, to live there rather, and survive and take the teachings that I had from Philadelphia, from a lot of wise people that I crossed paths with, and bring them to Texas. It was pretty tough. fight, you name it. Whatever the stuff you see on TV doesn't even. It's not. It's far more than that in
Definitely.
Philadelphia. About being able to survive, being strong, and being able to survive. Philadelphians can make it anywhere, anywhere.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, we'll get into the fashion part of this. I know a few people waiting, got a couple questions about just the fashion aspect of it, and we'll jump into that. I just want to kind of give some grassroots on like where my pops is from, and that way, it's basically all of this is just DNA. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This is DNA, and you kind of get an idea of like where all of this is coming from, and you getting it, firsthand from my pops. So but yeah, let's tap into a couple other things before we jump into like just how everything kind of like resonated like with the brand and stuff like that. But so yeah, Philly, boom, you know, you out there doing your thing. I remember as a kid, I remember, you and my mother and you and my mother, you all split up, which is okay. But life goes on. But I remember you visiting. You was definitely in my life, and made sure that you was a figure in my life, and I appreciate you for that. Um, you eventually moved off, so this is something that's kind of off the grid that you probably ain't really prepared for. But I'm gonna ask you the question. Um, you know, when you left, man, like what was your thoughts? I mean, because you left to kind of jump into an industry of uncertainty, really. I mean, you was new to the industry that you're in. But I felt like you had a motive, and kind of came around full circle. So I want you to kind of talk about that. I
Yeah,
want you to talk about that.
that wasn't a easy move. That was a tough move. I had to put a lot of thought. I had to have a plan, and my plan was to break the poverty circuit in our family. That was my plan. I needed to, in order to make that happen, I needed to make some strong moves. You know,
Uh-huh.
I knew that there were a lot of opportunities for me, but at the same time, I had to be committed to my family. That was very, very important. And I don't know if
Mhm.
you guys came by and I started talking to you. I told you I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna get you. I'm leaving, but I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna make a life for you guys. At the time, we were pretty young, and I wasn't sure if we really understood because everybody was kind of sad. But from the time I left, when I landed in Houston, I knew I had a plan, and I knew my big focus was to get my family here in Texas, to provide a nice home for them, to take them from that North Philly uh, life, that life of poverty, and just show them a new way. And I worked every day. I worked hard every day to make sure that it happened. And when I came to finally pick you guys up after I think of what was like a year and a half,
Yeah.
I had it was no struggle for you guys. I had a home for you. I had everything set up. And that was my goal. It wasn't easy. It was a hard decision. Not only did I leave you guys, I left my mother, I left my brothers, my sisters, I left everybody. But in order for me to take that giant leap forward, I had to take a step back and make
Yeah.
that happen. And I did.
Definitely, man. Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you like this. And we never talked about this, but this is a moment for me to like really put this out there. Like I never felt like I missed a beat, because even though you left, your your presence was still there from phone calls, and you would still visit, but you wasn't in the city. But to me, I it just felt like I didn't miss a beat, and I wanna shout out. I'm in a group called Cool Dads, and I want to shout out. I don't know if they're on the call, but we talk. My homie RV and my homie K, like, and they put it together. But really, it's a moment to kind of reflect on, what fathers are doing, and the importance of just being a father and things like that in today's society. So I want to shout that out, but um, that's a pure definition of like what that group stands for, and I can tell you right now, man, I never felt like I missed the beat. Um, Contrary to, I don't know, you probably felt like whatever it was you felt. But I can tell you right now, man, I always felt like you was there, and you was always a phone call away. And then, of course, my journey transitioned from living in Philadelphia to moving to Houston, and we'll pick up on that. So let's talk about that though. You came
Yeah,
here, you did
right.
what you had to do. Number one, that's a true example of keeping your word. Number one, because I do remember you saying that, and you definitely kept your word. And I remember growing up, you would always tell me like, "Yo, man, your word is, you got to stand on your word. Like don't fall back on your word. Your word is all you got." And I remember you always telling me that. And there was a couple times I messed up, but you told me like, "Hey, listen, your
Uh,
word is all you got." You know what I'm saying? And I remember that. And to this day, even as it resonates with the brand, my word is what I have, and you installed that in me at a young age. So let's talk about this though. You moved to Houston. You moved us to Houston.
right.
What was it like, man? You had a house full of kids. I want to talk about what was that like. I know there was a change. You was involved in a lot of different uh journeys and things like that, different businesses. Let's talk about that and how you kind of provided for us, you know, a few Philly kids, me and my sisters and I. How was that? What was that moment like?
Oh, sometimes I sit back and I think like, hey, how'd you do that? Juggling job. I was in the business of managing comedians and throwing all kinds of events. I don't know. I just did it. I knew I had to do it. I just did it. It was tough because for a long time it was just me taking care of you and the girls. And we look back at some of the pictures. Um, the sister Shanae, when my daughter, she look at her pictures when she was in the first grade. She had like a little crooked part when she went to picture day and stuff, and we laughed at that. She was like, "Dad, you really messed up my part." But I did what I had to do. I remember sitting down, plaiting hair, brushing, doing what I had to do. But it's like this: whenever you're doing something that you enjoy and that you're willing to do for nothing, whether it's a business, taking care, of whatever, it's not a problem. It's easy. It's easy to do that. Now, if I was doing something I didn't want to do,
Uh-huh.
then it was, but I was taking care of my family. That's what I said I was going to do from the beginning, and that's what I was going to do, and that's what I did. How did I do it? I don't know, because sometimes I think about that. It had to be pretty hard, but we were okay. We were okay. We had the good Lord with us, and then Zena came along to help us out, and we made it
Definitely.
out of all my children, all my children. And one of the things I sit back and say, I broke that level. I broke it. I broke it.
Definitely. She was definitely critical, but that's awesome, man. Let's jump to a couple questions. We got a couple questions, and we're gonna let a couple people ask a couple questions. So let's run it.
Yeah. Well, first, I don't want to, I hope nobody missed the fact that he was over here giving cricket parts, being a total girl dad. You had your girls out here with an asymmetric situation going on. So we're gonna go just one step back, because at one point we were talking about just your family's involvement in civil rights movement. And what I don't want people to miss is how dope it was that so everyone's attention was focused on Dr. King and the I Have a Dream speech. It was like, yo, we're looking in the camera. But you as a kid, you were looking in the camera, looking for your mom who was there, involved in that. And I think that is super dope. So I just didn't want that part to go past. But I want to bring Chris. If you decent and you good, I'm gonna unmute you and ask you to turn your camera on, Ro, to see if you can ask that question yourself. I think it's Chris O'Neill had a real good question um, about the civil rights movement and just kind of, just a question that I feel like there's some differing opinions from certain generations. So Chris, you still on here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you mind asking that question, please?
Yes, sir. So I wanted to know, with you being involved in segregation to this point, do you think that um, desegregation, did it help us or did it hurt us as a people, for you having your fingers in the game and seeing it on both sides?
Well, Chris, I think sure it helped us. It helped us a whole lot. I mean, that was our motive. That's what we wanted. That's what we were aiming for, and we accomplished it. And it made things a lot better for us. However, it leveled things out like it should have, and that's why the struggle continued throughout the years. But it was definitely some progress that we had made. There was a lot of sacrifices that were made by a lot of people, and I was very fortunate to have the parents that I had because the parents, they just instilled it in me every day, and my brothers and sisters. We would sit around and we would sing different songs and stuff like that. And we grew up very, very poor. We didn't have anything, but we were rich when it came to our culture, for one. My mother organized a drill team, and I remember the kids playing, singing "Let's Go Black America," and marching to it. So when I run across some of my childhood friends, they talk about that stuff, how we did that stuff in the 70s and late 60s, and what it did for them and what it's done for their children as well. So it was definitely progress, Chris, definitely for sure. And we just have to remain strong and continue doing what we've been doing in the past, and we'll get back to where we need to go, where we need to be once again, for sure.
Solid. Good question, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
We have another good one. David Landry has a little like an ancestry type question. See if you know this. Let me see if he's still on. David, you still on here? Yes.
Hello, y'all. Question. Man. So my question is the surname Day, Day. I remember when I first met Kareem and I saw that surname, I thought it was very unique. I'd never heard of that surname before. Do you all happen to know from where it originates?
Well, I'll tell you, good question. When I came to Houston, I remember my mother saying to me, "You have family in that area that you don't know," and she was so right. When I came down here, I found uncles and aunts that I'd never even heard of. And whenever I would go to these gatherings, they would invite me to. They really, the young adults that were my age really made me feel like I was not a part of the family. They would always bring up things that I had no idea, and they would keep me out of it. What I did do is I went and I did a research on the family name Day, because I didn't know anything. My father was a good guy, but he didn't talk a lot and he didn't tell us a whole lot. So we didn't know anything beyond him. I spent many, many hours pulling up documents, and I found out that our family originally came from, our family was from Louisiana, the northern part of Louisiana. And then as I went further and further back, the North Carolina, the Gula Islands. So I got a chance to meet one of the oldest relatives. I found her in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I went out there and I told her who I was. She took one look at me and she says, "Oh, boy, you look like Joseph." And my name is Joseph as well. And she said, "Sit down. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know." One of the things I remember her telling me was that your grandfather was a very hard-working guy, and he was a real determined guy. She's never ever seen me before, and she said to me that he worked so hard for everything he had, but his pride was his cards. And I love cars. I'm looking at her like, wow, wow. She said, he always had the best and the prettiest Cadillac out there, and you better not touch it, right? So it made me think about my passion with cars, and I was like, that's amazing how this stuff comes down without you even knowing it. I had no idea. So I did trace some of my family back to the Gula Islands. I went back as far as to when the complexion started changing, and that's when I got off the boat right there.
Good question, man. Dave, man. Appreciate
You want
that.
to do one more? Thank you, Dave. You want to do one more before you go into the next portion?
For sure.
Okay. let's do, Marquita, I'm gonna save yours. Let me go to Christopher Rodriguez. Is you still on here? Let's see. He may not be on here. All right, let's do this. This might be a little, we might be on, oh no, Chris, there you are.
Hey,
Go
how
ahead
you
with your
doing?
question, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
What up,
pleasure to
Chris?
be here. What's up, my man? It's dope. This is really cool, man, and I just think it's really awesome that you guys can definitely share your guys' story. And this is definitely for your dad. I wanted to know, like, how is it important? How important it is, being a father? How did that help you in your journey as becoming a man yourself?
Well, absolutely good question. I'll tell you, every son looks up to his dad no matter what. Whether good guy, bad guy, or whatever. He's going to try to be like his dad. So that was very important to me that I made sure that I projected, that I was a good image for my son, my stepson, my nephews, anyone that was around. You wonder about some of the problems we have with some of the youth. You're like, well, what is wrong with this guy? Why is he so bad? Well, you got to think about the person that he looked up to, whether he was a gangster, whether he was a hard worker. That kid is going to always want to impress his dad, whether he's a fighter, football player, whatever. So it's very important that we, as men, make sure that we project the right image towards our youth. I went to an event that Kareem had once, and there were a lot of his friends from when he was a young kid. And there were two kids that came up, two grown men that came up to me, and they said, Mr. Day, I want to thank you for just what you did when we were kids. Now, I did not recognize these guys. I had no idea who they were. And one of them said to me, he said, we used to come by and we used to have these intense basketball games in your driveway. And we would look at that and say, man, it's really cool how his dad is a part of his life. And he lets us come around. He's just a real positive guy. And he said to me, I have two boys now, and I treat my sons the same way I saw you doing, what you were doing, because I didn't have a father. But my sons, they received what you gave to me. And I was like, wow. And you got to think about this. We don't know those two boys, who are they going to end up being? They may end up being the next president or something, a president or something like that. So it's important that you, as a man, make sure that you're a good role model to everybody. You just don't aim it at one person. You just make sure that you are a good role model. My father was a role model, and I always tried to impress him. But my father, he did his own thing. He didn't go by the book. He did his own thing. But I still, almost until the day he died, I think I gave up right before he died. I said, I can't impress him. But it's very important that your son's looking at you, your nephew's looking at you, and he's going to try to be like you. He's definitely going to try to be like you. So it's very, very important that you give that energy off to them.
Good question, man. Good question.
Thank you for that. We're good to roll on to the next part. I'm excited to hear the rest.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, so that's the legacy behind where everything is kind of rooted from. What I want to do now is I want to tap into something a little bit more current, and really is like one of the reasons why we're here. We did a photo shoot that I focused everything on, like, legacy, why I incorporated my pops and my daughter, and it was a moment that I wanted to really show and exercise the camaraderie between family and how important legacy is. So we did a photo shoot with my good friend Fred, amazing photographer. And we modeled some of the pieces I designed, some varsity jackets. I usually do every year. I kind of do some vintage um, varsity jackets. But let's tap into that moment, that day. You know, I know it kind of came out of the blue, and it's something that honestly, you know, I never even asked you, but it's a moment to kind of take stage for. Let's jump into that day. When I asked you to join that photo shoot, like, what was your thoughts? I mean, I did explain that it was about legacy, but I know I came kind of left with it. But what was your thoughts on that? Like, how did you react to that? Like, how did you feel? I mean, for a long time, you were kind of just watching everything from the sideline and, you know, just kind of seeing the growth of the brand and myself. But for you to be incorporated into it, like, what was your take on that?
Oh, I thought that the timing was really perfect timing. You had been doing your thing for a while. I had been watching. Um, Being as though I'm a Philadelphia, of course I've had swag and fashion, but I wasn't really into fashion like that. I was going to invest a lot of my time or money into it. And you did your thing. I watched you, and I said, okay, I can see where he's coming from, and I can see what he's doing. So how could I not participate, be a part of something that you were doing? You know, it was just great, all the stuff I've seen you do over the years. And I knew that you were very determined, and it was really easy for me because I enjoyed it. You know, I got a chance to get out there because I've been kind of laying low lately. You know, I've always been a real busy guy all my life, but now I'm kind of taking it easy. So it felt good to get out there and start doing it. But one of the things about me, you know this, I don't do anything I don't believe in.
Sure.
I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't have done it. So I believe in the brand. I watched it grow. Um, I wanted to be a part of the legacy because I knew that what you were projecting wasn't something that was fake. It is a legacy. You sat back, you watched me for years. You watched me do a lot of things and be successful at a lot of things. You watched me break the barrier. You watched me do everything I said I was going to do, and I see it in you. The same thing. That boy is just like me. So I can sit back and relax and let him do his thing and watch the show. It's great. It was great. It was great doing it, and it was very powerful. Anybody that really looked at it, they could tell right off the bat what this was all about. They could tell in relation to this here conference there. You could say, okay, I can see where all this came from.
Definitely. Definitely. No, that meant a lot to me because, to be honest with you, and one of the funny things when I first told you about it, I'm gonna quote this, your exact words. What you told me, I said, Paz, I want to have you in this photo shoot, that I want to do based off legacy, and I want to implement you and my daughter because we got 3 different generations, you know, and I want to turn it up, and I want to highlight that because I want people to understand that family is important, and this is how we moving. But your response was, and I quote, "Hey man, we can do it. Don't put me in on skinny jeans though." I said, "No, I ain't got." I said, "Look, I'm not gonna put you in on skinny jeans, man. I got you. Like, you gonna be all right." Like, I remember that, but I appreciate you being a good sport and running with it, and it turned out pretty well. Yeah, no skinny jeans. He was not with that. So if you go back and look at those photos, my pop, he does not have on skinny jeans because he was totally against that. But but you know, but yeah, that was a moment, and I appreciate you really you know, taking part into that, you know, because you know, everybody's agenda is very busy, and then sometimes you just may not be into certain things, but you really was a good sport and you ran with it, and I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, Kareem, we all have dreams and desires. You know, we all have that. But most people just don't have the determination. And that was one of the gifts I was given by the good Lord, is that I have determination and no matter what I do. And I've been told that by a lot of people over the years. A lot of people that didn't even want to say it to me have said it. I wish I had the determination that you have when it comes to whatever you do and focus on whatever you do. And I see the same thing in you. You have a lot of determination to be successful, and you will be successful with this brand. You will be successful without. So how could you not support it? How could you not want to be a part of it? It's part of your legacy. So everything that I did back in those days, you remember all the dealings with boxing, going to bringing guys all the way from nothing to world champions, and all that's part of this. That's part of what makes
Definitely.
definitely legacy, no doubt, no doubt. It's
Definitely.
my legacy that I get to see. You know, a lot of times people don't get to see the stuff they pass on, and then people talk about it, but they never get to experience it. I have been able to experience it and see it, which is a blessing.
Definitely, man. This is for sure a moment, and like I said, I want to make sure everyone, you know, bare minimum when you jump off this call, you know, you all join us, you know, go talk to the people that you love. You know, sometimes, man, you know the saying, people never get the flowers, but they can still smell them. This is a moment to kind of like reflect that and like and show the importance of that. You know, this is a conversation, some questions I asked my pops that he didn't even see coming, but I want to encourage people to go do that. You know what I'm saying? And have that conversation with the people that you love and the people that's dear to you. And then also we tap into just the DNA of the brand, but more importantly, I just want to just promote the camaraderie that you should have with family and friends. You know, that's really what it's all about. And I just want to stop and just say I appreciate you know, Chantel and the Whitaker Group for even allowing this to happen. But let's jump right into, you know, we probably about to wrap up, but I got a couple questions I want to ask you about. And this is one of the that I've never even asked you about. Like, we never really talked about this, but what was it like, you know, as people know, I'm a creative and, you know, do the things that I do, but what was it like raising a creative? Like, how was you, like, did you see something at an early age? Like, was it something that like say, hey man, this guy is a little, he might be, you know, something, you know, he's walking at a different beat, or like, did you not really take a look at it, and how did you exploit those qualities?
It kind of goes back to dad before. Every son wants to be like his dad, whatever. So of course, you know, I was an amateur boxer, and you took up boxing, and I trained you, and you were a very promising boxer. You had the potential of being a world-class fighter. One of the things I noticed during that time was when it was time for fight time, uniforms and outfits, you know, I would buy the regular ringside stuff, right? The real basic stuff, because my focus was like on winning. Like, you don't win wearing fancy things, and you always wanted to have something a little different, and you made sure that you change or your tennis shoes or your shorts, and I would look at that and say, really, Kareem? I with it at first. I was like, come on, man, that's not going to win a fight. You know, you want to flashy, but you got to be able to go in and lay that leather. But as time went on, I would see you and Mike would take your regular Nikes, and I would look at them and, oh man, they customized those Nikes. Then I noticed that your friends were coming over, and you guys were doing your friends' Nikes and just all kinds of outfits. And that's when I hit a point. I saw how you and Mike were really getting down. I said, you know what? Just sit back. Let them do their thing. Because I remember a long time ago, when I was out there trying to find my way, a gentleman who's no longer with us had said to me, the same one that told me I was very determined. He said, you know, Joe, you got to find your niche. And you will find your niche. But you can't limit yourself. You got to keep on going until you find your niche. And when you find it, you're going to know it. And once you hit it, you're going to take off. And he was so right. And my niche was to get to the fight game. And we went as far as we went to all the big parties, all the world championships, and all that kind of stuff. You know,
Definitely.
So I saw that in you guys. And I just sat back. I remember you and I talking about, I was like, Kareem, that's a very competitive field, man. You know, you got guys that have a lot of money that invest in fashion, they go nowhere. But I had that conversation. I said that one time. And I was not going to say it again because I said if he's going to keep on going, you have to support him. And that's where it was. That's where the support and everything else came in. Like when we start seeing the progress, we just start seeing you guys, just moving on out. And shout out to Short, your little brother. He was right there with you and just putting the work in. And I'm very proud of both of you guys.
Definitely. No, I appreciate that, man. I mean, and keep in mind, we still got a long way to go, but we definitely made some strides. But more importantly, just to tap in, man, just the camaraderie, like I keep saying, just the I try to make that platform that I have, which is probably like a slower pace. I could go out and reach out to different bigger entities, but I want everything to be homegrown. So, it's kind of really the roots coming from the city and everything backing behind it is really what I'm focused on, and making sure family is in there and everybody. I want this to be like a platform to where you can look back and say, what that brand is about is really about straight, genuine love, because that's really what it is. So I appreciate that and those qualities that you installed in me. But man, I know we got a couple questions. We probably got about 8 minutes left. We can tap into some questions, but man, I appreciate everything that you said. A few things, we can talk offline about, that I want to pick your brain on to, the conversation don't start here. And that's what's really important. But I guess, Chantel, I mean, we can jump into a couple other questions if you have. I know we got about 8 minutes left.
Yeah, no, great, sure. I have one for myself that I'm going to ask a little later, but I think this will be a good time for, let me see, is Marquita still on here? Let me see. She had a really good question. Oh, there she is. Marquita, I'm going to unmute you. Would you mind asking that question?
Yeah, I'm at work, so that's why I was just going to go ahead and read it, because I'm kind of like taking a test while I'm trying to do it, and I'm listening at the same time.
Oh, I can ask you a question for you. Want me to ask it for you?
Yeah, because like my boss is coming right now, so please.
Girl, you.
Hey,
okay, Marquita
love,
said, that is love. She said, Pops, how do you feel about today's events? Do you feel like we're regressing? If so, what more can we do to assist in the progression as a people?
I wouldn't say we've regressed. The system has. And I think it's important that we stand strong, right? We stand strong. It's important that people like myself share our experiences. Uh, One of the things I regret, I had a great grandmother that I never picked her brain. I never picked her brain. And she had a lot to share with me. And I always think about that. So you want to, share your experiences. We got to keep the troops going. We got to keep everybody strong. And just, it's all about harmony and peace. It's not about violence. It's not about black versus white. It's none of that. Because, you think about black and white. That's the best color scheme you can put together, black and white. You get a black and white bike, a black and white car, anything, it's beautiful. So we have to stay strong, and we got to keep our people united and stay strong, stand our ground, for sure. And we will prevail. But, we just got to stay strong. It's a lot out there. It's always been a lot out there. That's why we're strong people. We're it's just in our DNA. We're just strong. We can handle anything. You can take a young child, a young Afro-American child. How many times have you heard the story where, at 7 years old, his mother died, his father died when he was 12, but he becomes this great football player. He becomes this great artist. He becomes great. There's a lot of great people that have a story, and sometimes the stories aren't very well. So we're very strong people. And we have to remain that, and we got to pass our knowledge on, and we got to make sure that whoever we cross paths with remember us in a very good way, and that happens. It happens all the time. But that's within me. That's what I can do. That's what I can give back, and I try to do that. And I try to make it so that other people see that they can do the same thing too, because it's going to come at us. It's going to come at us for a while, but we just have to remain strong, stay focused, stay away from the dumb stuff. We'll win because that's what they want us to do. They want us to go out, shoot, steal, do all kinds of stuff, act like fools. But we can't do that. We got to stay strong. We got a lot of support out there. We got a lot of strong people out there. We just have to unite and move together.
So
Stacy had a question. Stacy, I'm gonna ask this question for you because I'm gonna tie it to another one. But she had a really good question. She said, "Do you think boxing coaches were better back then versus now?" And I'm gonna broaden that a little bit, Pop, and talk about coaching, building into people, fatherhood in general. When you see what's happening with coaches and how some coaches are opportunistic and how some are trying to live vicariously through their athletes, or you can see that same thing happening with fathers. What would you say about that? Do you feel like as a coach overall in the state of the sport, that coaching was better then versus now? And then could you roll that into what your thoughts are about fatherhood in that regard?
Well, when it comes to young athletes, the best coach a young athlete can have is his father. Coming up to a certain point, his father's going to out for him. He's going to always teach him to be better than him. He's going to give him the best. He's going to protect them. So if you're going to be involved in this sport, you have to be careful who you deal with. Boxing is the only professional sport that anybody can walk into and be whatever they want to be, besides a champion. So I can go to the state and get a form, and I'm a coach just like that, or I'm a trainer, or I'm a manager. I just pay the fee, unlike some of the other sports. So there's a lot of guys that are in the sport that really don't know the sport. They don't have a history of the sport. In order to come across a good boxing coach, you have to have somebody that has history, that understands boxing, that's been there. But these guys that just walk up, I shake my head when I see them all the time. They call themselves trainers, and they're in it for the money. And then you see the guys' careers are ruined because they connected with the wrong person. Now, my son was a very promising fighter. And actually, my other son, Mike, was my first fighter that I had under Joe Day Boxing. And these are two guys, grown men now, who haven't had any problem growing up from the time we started. They haven't had any problems, period. But my point is, when I took them in the gym, they were able to get all that aggression out of them. You have a lot of these youth that have this aggression in them, and they don't explode until it's time to fight somebody over $1 or whatever, and then it ends up being really bad. But by these guys going through that system, and they were able to go in there, and they were able to learn how to fight, and they were able to get that aggression off. Whenever they encountered that kind of stuff throughout life, they didn't resort to just fight. They were able to work their way out of whatever and look at it in a positive way. So when you say, well, my son was really promising, but he left it, but look what he got out of it. There's always something to get out of it. I don't ever remember getting phone calls about Michael Kareem out there fighting, or they got in a fight or whatever, because they went through all of that already. So it's very important that I took them there and I taught them how to deal with life. That ties in with life. It wasn't just about getting a $5 trophy. It was about life, about knowing how to handle situations, not having all that aggression, all that in you, where as soon as somebody look at you the wrong way, you want to fight. Or somebody bumps you, or you think somebody took something from you, you want to fight. Those guys aren't like that, but they know how to take care of themselves because they were taught well. But it's very important that our youth don't go along in life with all that aggression. They just want to fight, don't know how to have. Most of them really don't know how. So what do? They get a gun and they end up shooting somebody. All that kind of ties in. So it's up to us as fathers to get out there and teach our sons and look beyond what they can see. Look out for them. Look out for their future. So what I installed in them at a young age, I just let them go, and they were okay. I don't lose sleep over those guys at night because I know that they're taken care of and they know how to take care of themselves. So it's very, very important.
awesome.
We have another good one if you want to roll with that, Kareem, or we can move on to the next section.
Yeah. Go with the question. That's fine.
And I made a mistake too. Stacy boxed with you, and is definitely a male. And I think I called my brother a she. So
That's my homie. That's
sorry
Stacy,
for
man.
that.
What up, Stace? Haywood.
Let me unmute Stacy so you can say what's up, because I sure messed that up.
That's one of the fastest hands in Houston right there. Haywood.
Hey,
What's
yo,
up?
what's up? Yo, what's up, Kenny? What's up, Joe?
What's up,
Hey,
man?
I just want to say one thing, Joe. And I know this is a little off the subject, but I'm going back to what you said. You know, I do personally think coaches are different now than when you were coaching. My other coach, Pops, was coaching. Y'all guys were like the golden A team. You don't find any coaches like y'all guys anymore. Y'all guys were kind of hardcore in the gym. It was no playing around. I know if Kareem didn't have his hands wrapped, you'd be like, hey, man, you need to get your ass in the ring and get yourself together. Let's go, you know? So boxing coaches are different, even with the rhythm and the style. I think the way black fighters used to fight then, it's a totally different thing. Now everybody's so robotic. They don't have that rhythm, that soul, that funk that they used to have back in the day. And you used to teach that, and my coach Pops taught that. So, but you know, training with Kareem, seeing you train him and everything, it brought a lot of flavor to the gym. Even my coach had flavor. So just want to thank you for that. I've always looked up to you and your son. So, hey, you're doing a good job of Bison, bro.
Big
Keep it
solid,
popping.
man. Big solid.
Yeah, the same.
That's what's up.
As the homie.
Christopher, I'm coming to you again. This is another good question here.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you so much for you doing this with your father. It's hard not to admire and appreciate your guys' relationship, how organic and how smooth it is, and it's inspiring. And you know, as I'm trying to gravitate to build a relationship with my father that I've never had a relationship with, it's truly inspiring. So thank you both. And with that being said, Kareem, this question is from you, since I can tell you have so much love and admiration for your father. Speaking on legacy and creativity, if you had to use your father's wisdom as a source of fabric or material, what type of fabric would it be and what would you create?
Man, good
Thank you.
question, man. Um, whew. I would, you know what, man? I would say material wise, like wool. Um, if that's what we're speaking, if I understand the question correctly, and the reason why I say that is because, man, you know, my father was not like he was rough. You know what I'm saying? Coming up, he was rough, but he was cozy. You understand? Like he basically he assured um he assured that he would take care of us. He installed different um, qualities in us, and we got it the hard way. You understand? If anybody crossed paths with him, he was a straight shooter, but he was rough, but he meant well. And the qualities that I have this day and how I just handle my business is the same way. So I say wool because, you know, if you run your fingers across, if we talking about just the tangible aspect of it, you run your fingers across it, maybe come across a little rough, but it keeps you cozy and it takes care of you. And that's how my pops was. And you know, to this day with my kids, I kind of resonate those same qualities with them. But I have girls, so I can't be, you know, I can't go too crazy, but yeah, you know, just tough love and giving it to you straight is what my pops was about. And, you know, that's all reflected in everything that you see. From if I talk to you, if I meet you, I'm always a straight shooter. Things with the brand is always comes out that way because I got that. That's what was installed in me, just coming up underneath my pops. So it's a moment to definitely reflect on that. But good question, Chris, man.
Daniel, I'm coming to you.
My question was, how was it transitioning to being a single dad? And how did that change your mentality or mindset on raising your kids?
What up, Dan?
What up, bro?
That's a good question. Um, so it wasn't it wasn't a question of whether I was going to do it or wasn't I going to do it, whether I was going to give up or whatever. I had no choice. My children went through the system for me, and I wasn't going to let that happen. So I had to make the sacrifice that I made for them, and it, no doubt, not once did I ever think about it. I did whatever I had to do. I don't have a manual on how I did it. I just did it. When I look back at it now, I said, man, that had to be pretty tough. But I knew that I was their lifeline, and I had to make it happen, or else from there, it just wasn't a good look. So I did what I had to do, and it just made me stronger as well. And if I had to do it again, I'll do it again.
Solid, solid. Good question, Dan.
You know, I gotta ask it. I'm making that transition, so
100%.
Oh,
And
brother.
it's a real life moment, man.
1,000%.
And
When
we
you
talk.
years later, you know, like when you sit back and you look at your children, you look at Kareem, you look at my daughters, look at all of them. You're very proud. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud of my grandkids. That's my world. And you know, think about the sacrifice that you made to make all this happen. You made it all happen, and you're here to see it happen. So, you know, you stay in there and you keep doing what you got to do, and you jump every hurdle that comes at you. Everyone that's thrown at you, jump it, because at the end of the rainbow, you're gonna be one happy guy. And when you get to be as old as I am now, and you have all this happiness around you, that's the best thing in the world. I mean, it's better than being filthy rich. To have a strong family, beautiful family, and you made which you made a difference because I could have easily said, I'm out of here and moved on, but no, didn't go that way. Stayed there, made it happen, and now when my home gets built up with my grandkids and my kids, and we had an event going on before COVID. You know, we had Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinner. It's a beautiful thing. But I always sit back and I look and I say, you know, if you would have went left or you would have gave up, this would have never happened. And guess what? You would have missed out.
Solid.
1,000%.
Definitely, man. And you know, just to throw some context in there, like this is really like a real moment because I talk to Dan every day about what he's going through. And I honestly, man, I didn't think you was gonna bring that up, but I know we've been tackling it together just on a daily basis, man. But I'm gonna tell you like this, man, you're a strong dude, and I think you're gonna do what you gotta do, man. And whatever the moment is for right now, like I tell you, everything gonna be all right, man. But we definitely got that brotherhood that's uncanny to, you know, anything, man. And we all running together. So you just being as true as you were, just to ask that question and having that open testimony, man. That was what's up, man. Because I didn't think you was gonna jump on there, but you know, that's love, man.
Nah, man, you know, we brothers from another. You and Mike, you know how we go down, how we rock. So, and then your pops, you know, we done met plenty of times. So I know he instilled good boy using morals into y'all. That's why I rock with y'all. And you know, we got a different life that we live outside of, you know, the internet and all that. And plus I'm a girl dad too. So you already know how it is. And then to get a different perspective, I never had really like a father figure as far as like a dad that I was real tapped in with. So I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own. I had to learn a lot of stuff in the streets. And from my background, where I came from, a lot of people ain't believe in me to be at the position where I am in life right now. So it's good to have, you know, that brotherhood where I can lock in with people because y'all more of my brothers than my real brothers. So
Solid,
So,
man. 100.
That's so genuine.
I'm right there with you. You know, you can break that. You can break that. I told you early. I said early on, one of my goals was to break the poverty barrier that we had in our family, and I broke that. And you can break it too. And my number is, I've got the same number I've had for the last 20 years. Anytime you want to call me and chop it up. We can do it, brother. I'm there
Oh,
for you.
Pops, I know where you at. I'll pull up on you. So we definitely can make that happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Solid. All right.
Now, Brian, I don't know if you're giving us a high five or if you have a question. So I want to make sure I don't miss you. So I'm going to unmute you. You have a question, brother?
I do have a question. Man. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Mr. Day and Kareem, man. Just truly appreciate this and the authenticity that comes with it. So my question is for Mr. Day is you touched on your dad briefly, right? And I wanted to know, like, it sounded like you were able to navigate what traits you were going to take from him and what traits you weren't. Like, and some people can't distinguish between, this is good, this is healthy, and this is unhealthy, and I don't want to do this to my child. How was that process for you? Did you learn that earlier, that some things that you were going to do away with, or did you learn that as you were progressing through fatherhood?
Well, that's a good question. My dad was my father. Actually, I call him dad or father. His name was Simba. Simba was a good guy. He was a good guy. He was a strong guy. He was tough. There were some things about him, some attributes about him that I really didn't care for, and I made sure that I didn't do the same thing with my sons. Like, we didn't have that relationship where, we were just all hugged up or love you, this, that, the other, or that's great what you're doing. We didn't have that. But I was always trying to prove myself to him. Always trying to prove, no matter what it was, something physical, just in life, whatever. And I never got that from him. I never got the nod from him. He was a good guy, don't get me wrong. So I made sure that I was not that way towards my kids. Always giving them the nod, hey man, you're doing a great job, supporting them, stuff like that. Because that was something that I saw in him that I didn't like. But then there was a lot of good stuff about him that I saw that I like. And to this day, my wife says to me sometimes, you look just like Simba, you acting just like Simba. You are, and I say to her, I am Simba now. So I did kind of set back for a little bit and kind of pick how I was going to deal with my kids, and there was just a lot of things I didn't want to do that I had to deal with him. But he was a good guy, but the goal is to be better, right? Like, right. For instance, even with Kareem, he wanted to get to the field that I was in, and he jumped whatever hoop he needed to do to get to that field. And I remember him telling me about getting a job, and I was like, nah. And he's like, what? I was like, no, you need to go higher. You need to go a step higher.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be a plant chemical worker. You need to be I don't think he didn't like that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I don't know if you're frozen, Pop, but I was waiting. I was looking at my notes and I was waiting for you to mention how when Kareem, wanted to be an operator and you didn't help him do it, you were like, nope. I'm not ashamed of what I do. I provide for my family. I am who I am. And I appreciate that you're looking at me like that, but I want something more for you. And I thought that was phenomenal. And so I appreciate you sharing it. That was a great question, Brian. Thank you for bringing that up.
No doubt. Thank you.
If we continue, he does the same thing for his kids and his kids. Hey, that's what we have to do. We got to push it like that.
Solid.
Yeah.
Good
I'm coming
question.
to you, Mike. You might be muted still. We can't hear you.
Yeah, you might be muted.
Mm-mm.
Nah.
Mm-mm. One more time, Mike. All right, we're gonna come right back to you. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
So if no one else has a question in here, then I will just ask this and see if you can speak to it a little bit. I see you, Mike. I see you came back in. Let's try this. Just want to make sure we get you. You with us
Can
now?
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
There we
I
go.
don't.
There you
I
go.
don't see them. Oh, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right, bet. Cool. All right. So I just want to touch on a subject that we've been on as far as the things being instilled in you from your father and having that father figure. So let me give y'all a little background on me real quick. So Frank's my brother. Joe's my stepdad, real dad. So him and my mom met and they were married, and me and Kareem met, happened to be the same age, and we just clicked from the jump. We were probably like 11 years old, I don't know. Something like that, 10, 11. But anyway, the point is, growing up with them, I fell right in with what was happening, and I just want them to know that I appreciate both of y'all for what y'all instilled in me. To this day, still instilling things in me, and the father figure that you've been for me has been phenomenal. I lost my dad when I was maybe like 9, and I was without one for a couple of years, and then he came in and really picked the ball up that he even know was picking up for me, and instilled a lot of things in me that made me the person I am today. And I just want to thank you for that on record. And Kareem, you already know how we moving every day. Just thank y'all for this moment. It means a lot to me. And I just wanted to continue to grow together and build the bond that we've been building, and be the best that we can be with each other and for each other. That's what I have.
Solid, man. Solid. That's my right hand right there, man. That's my
Yeah.
right hand.
Mike,
But I need you to comment that. You comment on that. Cause I mean, everybody know how me and Mike roll, but I want you to comment on that.
well, hey, it was just meant to be. I'll tell you, you guys got along like my brother and I got along. My brother and me, we got along really, really well. I remember one day I asked you guys, like, hey, do y'all like ever get mad at each other because somebody wore somebody's shirt or something? So I never. And it was just amazing how you guys got along, the girls got along, and everybody's still tight to this day. That's why my biggest value is my family. That's it, my family. Everything else you can take it away from me. It's okay. It's okay because I couldn't get a better family than I have. I couldn't get a better. And we all came together from different points, and it worked. And not only did it work, it also sent a message out to a lot of other people too. That look, you guys can come together and you can make it work like those guys. And to this day, you guys, I say you guys, not me. You guys are getting old now, and y'all still are real tight. I've never seen.
Yeah.
How many people can say that? I've never seen my family, my kids argue. Never, not once, not one time.
We're the Black Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
We really are though.
Yeah, for real.
Solid.
Great.
Yeah.
That's my family. My family.
That's a for everybody that's tapped in, man, that's a true testament to what it is to value family. And I think that's what I want, more importantly, with everybody to walk away from this call and just understand that it's all about family. It's all about tapping in. It's all about being, having the relationship with the people that you love. And that's all we promote, really. That's really what it is. So, just walk away with that, reach out to somebody that, a family member that you probably haven't talked to, or somebody that you need to tell something, talk to them about that. That's what it's really about. It's a moment to really reflect on that. And if you could do that, it only take a couple minutes to call somebody, text somebody, tap in with them. That's really what it's about. and I'm happy that these moments are surfacing on this call, you know, because that really means a lot.
Yeah.
Before we close out the night, I do want to say a couple of things. And Kareem, be thinking about this so that you can close out and just sharing with some of us some of the things you have coming up, if you can even share some of it. I don't know if it's exclusive. But part of what we do at the Whitaker Group is we tap into something deeper, something that's beyond fashion and retail. And it's one of the things that I'm very proud of. And so I appreciate you and Pop for jumping on this platform, because Hand Wash Cold is all about care, consideration, and going beyond a consumer, going beyond a dollar. And everything that you all have shared tonight has really fit in that ethos. And if you love something, if you care about something, if you consider it, it shows in how you handle it and how you care for it. And just hearing about your family and how you all move. I know you joked about being the Brady Bunch, but that takes work. That takes intentionality. That takes authenticity. And for you, Mr. Day, Miss Zena, just for you and your bride, even too, Kareem, like the things that y'all had to like be very considerate, consistent, and intentional with is the epitome of handling things with care. Your family is, like you said, Mr. Day, you said your biggest value is your family. And you can see that in how many people are on this call who know you and love you and appreciate you and rock with you. You can see it to how many people invest in your brand, Kareem, and you can see it in your legacy being lived out right now, Pop, Mr. Day. And so it's so evident in everything that you're doing, which is why I believe and we believe that everything you touch and the things that you're going to do, Kareem, is going to continue to succeed, fashion and beyond. And one of the things you said, Pop, that I thought was beautiful when we talked on the phone, and this is why I believe that you all will continue to do well, is you said that you value the past and you pay homage to the past, because without part of your past, you can't be fully in the present and you will not be able to stretch toward the future the way you need to. And so I love that and I appreciate that. And I can't speak for every single person that ever walked through the Whitaker Group, but I can absolutely speak for what we're doing with Hand Wash Code and say that is beautiful, it's respected, it's honored, and it's valued. So thank you for allowing that to take place here and be talked about in this space. I appreciate both of you. Corinne, can you share about anything that's neat that's coming up for you and the brand as you close us out and all of that? And thank you, Dad.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for tapping in with us, and definitely want to thank you, Chantel, for providing the platform with the Whitaker Group and reaching out and giving us this opportunity. Definitely want to thank my pops for really running with this and just really just kind of honing in on some of those key qualities and things like that, tapping into the DNA of like where we are from and sharing those moments and things like that. And just want to thank everybody really. But yeah, I mean, as far as the brand, this call wasn't focused really on what the brand is about and all that. I wanted to kind of get like the back end, the logistics behind what's happening and like where everything is rooted from. But yeah, for sure, we got things happening and we can start with, I'll just run a few things down, just some things to look out for. We got a collaboration with the Breakfast Club. We did the merch for them next week, a fashion show. Saturday, we'll send out the RSVP link for that. You can pull up to that. We got a bunch of different collaborations throughout the year that we've been running with some bigger entities. And this year is really about creating that footprint a little deeper than what we have been, what we've been doing, but kind of making those strides and, kind of tapping outside of, the area that we are in and outside of the United States. So we got some collaborations with some bigger entities. And, I just want everybody to just really, yeah, I don't want to talk about the brand, to be honest with you. I mean, of course it's about it. The brand is part of it, but, go follow my IG and you can get all the information. But I want everybody to walk away from this call really thinking about the importance of family and how you can implement them in your life, and value them, and giving people the roses while they can still smell them. That's what I'm all about. And yeah, if you come to any of the events that we have, you'll see my family running the show. You'll see them, taking care of the merch and all that. That's how we move. You know what I'm saying? I just want everybody to know that that's how we rocking, and that's what the herd is about. So thanks again for everybody that tapped in, and many thanks to you, Chantel, and I really appreciate you. And Pops, you already know we gonna talk.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had me on. I got a chance to chop it up a little bit. It's always good to chop it up with you. And you talked about the brand. The brand is something you gotta believe in, and I believe in the brand. One of the reasons why I believe in the brand because I see where a lot of us pretty much nostalgic. And what does nostalgic bring to you? You look at the Letterman jackets and stuff. Um, well, that didn't just come about. I wore those in high school. So when I put something like that on, it brings happiness, right? So this nostalgic aspect of it brings happiness to you. So that's one of the great things about the brand. It's not looking for the new wave, the new style. It's looking for the cycle of fashion, the cycle of just the nostalgic aspect of it. So we're gonna keep moving, man.
For sure.
Yeah, that's
But thank you all for being here tonight. I can't keep saying it enough. And so I hope everyone will walk away with some good nuggets on family and legacy and what it means to take time to listen to those who come before us. So it's definitely important and it's definitely needed and it's something that's missing. So y'all have a good night. Thank you again for joining us and y'all have a great weekend.